R.I.P. Kevin Conroy. We all know his legacy, but there's already been a Kevin Conroy, and he's already cemented himself in being one of the most iconic voices for Batman. And in a way it's good because you're essentially witnessing a stage 1 version of Batman. There wasn't actually a Bruce Wayne. Yo, what is good my people, it's your boy Nick, aka your Slice of Fuji and Spice, blessing your screens yet again with another video. Now for those of you who haven't seen my last video, make sure you go run it up, link is in the description. Now, Batman Caped Crusader, we have to talk about it. But before I get into it guys, as always, make sure you do me a huge favour and hit that like and subscribe button and turn on bell notifications for more content. Set in the late 1940s, it tells the story of billionaire Bruce Wayne, who after witnessing his parents' death at a young age, decides to become a vigilante, the Batman. A masked, caped crusader whose main goal is to put an end to all crime in the city of Gotham. Now first and foremost, a Batman TV series set in the 40s with a noir type of tone was ultimately very different to what I'm used to. But because I'm a Batman fan, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go. Now before I get into the actual show and the plot and all of that type of stuff, when I saw the trailer for the first time and heard Batman's voice, initially I was like, I don't know which poor fucker they gassed up, but whoever the voice actor for Batman is will never compete with Kevin Conroy. But then I had to stop myself. I was like, yo, Nick, let's just calm down, yeah? Let's just calm down. R.I.P. Kevin Conroy. We all know his legacy, but there's already been a Kevin Conroy, and he's already cemented himself in being one of the most iconic voices for Batman. Let somebody else take a turn. And afterwards, I was like, you know what? It wasn't actually that bad. That cold, husky, deep, mysterious voice brought its own vibe and uniqueness to the character. You can tell that this voice as well had its own version of pain and suffering as well, whilst also being a little bit reminiscent to Kevin Conroy. But in a way that didn't make us think that he was deliberately trying to copy and paste what Kevin Conroy did. Now in regards to the actual show, in spite of it being an animated series, it was actually very grounded. Now one thing I'd say it's quite important to mention is don't expect flashy, crazy fight scenes like in Arkham Knight or the Batman TV show. If you know, you know.
How'd you do that? I'm the Batman.
Expect rough scraps, boxer, street fighting type of brawls. Because one thing about this show is that it definitely focuses on the detective side of things. Now it is actually set in the early stages of Batman's career, so you do see him making a couple 1-2 mistakes, which is understandable. Nothing stupid. Sometimes you see him getting a little bit emotional, acting on his emotions, lashing out at people, etc, etc. And one thing I will say is that similar to the Batman film by Matt Reeves, there wasn't actually a Bruce Wayne. I mean, physically, yes, there was a Bruce Wayne, but I wouldn't say that he was as modeled as what I've seen him to be in other iterations of a Batman animated TV show Bruce Wayne, if that makes sense. And in a way it's good because you're essentially witnessing a stage 1 version of Batman, and it worked well to aid the tone of the series, but not all the way. Even though there were aspects, and I mean big aspects of the series that adhere to the classic comics, I just wasn't used to seeing some characters with no powers or no specific abilities, or just characters that were completely dumbed down completely. For example, Basil Karlo. For those of you who don't know Basil Karlo, he's Clayface, a person that can literally turn into a monster of clay. In this one, similar to the comics, he was essentially a failed actor who's trying to get back into his career, but because of his looks, he's not able to get any parts. Wonder how that feels. And so, seeks the help of this weird doctor dude who explains to him that he can inject him with a particular serum that can make him look younger. The serum, which makes his skin soft so that he can look younger, becomes too soft that it completely disfigures his face, resulting in him calling himself Clayface, where he basically just goes around murdering people, like one of his characters used to in the films that he used to make. Whereas if you're a fan of the modern day Batman, you'd know that Clayface is just one giant clay monster that's got the ability of shape-shifting, creating clones of himself, and just looking and acting like a massive turd. And not only people like him, but also characters like Floyd Lawton. If you know about Floyd Lawton, you know that he's an assassin that goes by the name of Deadshot, who's basically a contract killer. In this show, he's basically a low-level criminal who gets dubbed as an assassin because he tried to kill Gordon. Commissioner Gordon, by the way. Now, another thing they did in the show, and I'm not too sure why they did it. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I was just a little bit confused as to why they did it in the first place. They gender swapped some characters and ethnicities as well. So, for example, Oswald Cobblepot, for those of you who don't know, he's actually played by a man in the comics. In this one, he's played by a woman known by the name of Oswalda, as well as the Gordons actually being black. I was a little bit confused by it in the beginning. I was a little bit hesitant. Not so much with the Gordons being black, but definitely with Penguin, Oswaldo being a woman obviously. But they were able to pull it off. They didn't They didn't make her into some like weird corny character. They still made her as the big fucked up villain that she is, the Penguin. And I'd say aside from the last 2 to 3 episodes, I wouldn't say that there was an overall enticing plot in the whole series. Every episode had its own story, its own villains, its own set of challenges that Batman needed to overcome. And I feel it was done like that on purpose because they wanted to find an excuse for us to see how they approach the story, the setting and the characters. I'm trying to be as non-biased as possible because as much as I fuck with Batman, I feel like the whole noir detective storyline works best when it's not attached to Batman, even though that's what Batman does. And I'll be honest, that's mainly because my introduction to Batman was because of the 2005 TV show, the Dark Knight films, and the Batman Arkham series games. But I think one of the main reasons why I didn't really mess with it that much was because there was no real overarching story to it. I don't want to say I'm looking forward to season 2, but if they are going to make a season 2, not only do I want there to be more action and more fighting, but there needs to be an overarching plot that's continuous throughout the whole series. But in any case, guys, these are just some of my thoughts. Let me know what you lot think in the comment section below if you agree or disagree. But yeah, I've been your boy Nick. Thanks for watching. Bless.